for quite some time, most truck drivers, American truck drivers, guys have been doing it for a long time. So long time. Let me go ahead and say 10 years plus. Now I realize there's some, there's some slack in that, but let's call it 10 years plus. Realistic. That's usually a pretty good number. If you've been driving truck as an American professionally for 10 years, either OTR or maybe regional or something like that, you have seen what all of us have seen. You've seen the quality of the drivers like steadily dropping constantly. You've seen the amount of it was never really great at shippers and receivers. A lot of them wasted your time. They had guys who didn't speak English loading and unloading the trucks respectively. Everything took forever. You have a bunch of guys that are milking the clock, dragging your clock to the point where you can't make any money and so on. Like we've all seen this kind of stuff, and we've noticed over the last, I would say probably really in earnest, I'd say between 5 and definitely the last 2 years. So between the last 2 to 5 years, we've seen that gotten like insane to the point now where it's like, dude, this is so obviously an unworkable problem. You cannot just have these guys out here running around just giving somebody a set of keys and saying, all right, good luck. Yeah. I mean, try not to wreck the truck. Try not to roll it down a hill, doing 75, down a Cabbage Patch in Oregon or something. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because we've all seen it. Right, we've all been there, going 25 miles an hour down a really steep hill, with our truck fully loaded, and some guy go barreling past us at like 80, with his brakes on fire, and everybody is seeing this, and we're like, dude, how long can this go on? And so we've seen these videos where truck drivers will talk about this stuff. People like me will talk about this. Other drivers talk about this kind of stuff, and this has been going on for a couple of years, but nobody's really noticing it until very recently with U-Turn Guy who made the whole thing super famous. And I would argue actually that the worst one wasn't just U-Turn Guy. The worst one was actually in Austin, Texas. And that was about, 7 months ago, where the dude, I don't even know what happened to that guy. I think they just let him out and he just vanished. And as I understand, he unalived like 5 or 6 people, something like that, and just, right? So we notice now, the media is picking up on this. They're starting to see that there's a lot of this going on, and there's the rumblings of, okay, well, let's do something about this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For starters, look, there's 55 million 55 million visas, and that's just what they'll admit to. So let's use their number, 55 million. Every one of those visas can be canceled. Every one of them. They can be canceled, and all those people can be sent home. See, unlike Americans, and this is the attitude that I think that a lot of Americans really don't have yet. I think you should be at least think. I want this to at least roll around in your head for a while. You have nowhere else to go, Americans. No other country wants you. That's not true, man. I can move to Thailand. Thailand wants your money. Thailand doesn't want you. Okay? Try to go buy property in other countries and say, I want to own property in other countries. No. It's pretty difficult. They want your money to pay rent. You can live there for $30 a day as long as you've got $30 a day, right? I mean, so as long as you can pull it off, then you can pull it off. But that's the thing, Americans, you don't have anywhere else to go. They do. They do have somewhere else to go. Not a day goes by, I can scroll TikTok for 5 minutes. I don't need to do the doom scrolling nonsense for 6 hours. Dude, 5 minutes, I can scroll TikTok, and I will see a young person in their car crying about the 7,000th job application that they just filled out, that they've been banned from LinkedIn because they've put out too many applications. I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way. I'm talking about LinkedIn. I thought they went out of business like years ago. Dude, really? All these, or these people that are talking about they went in for their 14th interview. That is insane. That's criminally insane. You're telling me you can't tell whether you're going to be able to hire? I can tell whether I would be willing to hire somebody within one interview. Are you going to loot the corpses if you overspray during a robbery? If the answer is yes, I'll probably hire you. Come on. This is common sense, right? So, anyway, yeah, they have somewhere else they can go. All these visas can be cut off. Now, why hasn't Thulsa Boomer done it? Thulsa Boomer is my nickname for the Orange Man. So why hasn't Thulsa Boomer done this yet? Why haven't him and his cult followers decided it's time to get rid of all of this? It's because they need to have fake GDP numbers. They need to maintain all these low wages. They need to have, if you had to pay Americans real wages in this country, the fake stock market, this ridiculous, absurd, stupid fake stock market would start to collapse. Nobody would care. I mean, it wouldn't hurt the average American out there, and GDP doesn't necessarily mean a good life. That's for the bankers and the Tulsa boomers of the world, to worry about. They don't care about the country. They don't care about you, dude. They don't. They obviously don't. It's so painfully obvious they don't care about the average American. They just care about making their interest payments to the billions of dollars or trillions of dollars that they owe. You don't owe any of this stuff. They owe all this. They're the ones who did all this. So, as it comes down to, this whole idea of no, they can cancel all these work visas. They could pull these illegals out. Dude, if DOT and ICE got together and they actually just opened up all the scales and said, okay, listen to me. Dude, if they've had their CDL more than 5 years, and they speak clean, clear English, right? That would be the King's English. That would be the words that you hear coming out of my mouth right now. And their truck looks kind of okay. Dude, let them go. Let them go. We're not even after that. Well, I don't care about anything else. I don't care about marker lights. I don't care about brake inspections. Get them out of here. We're not looking for those guys. We're looking for the guys who don't speak English or can barely understand English. Who are here on visas, who are here illegally, etc. We're looking for all those guys. If you just did that in California and Texas alone, just those two states, just those two, right? We're not talking about the rest of it, just those two states. And you actually could pull that off. And of course, in California, that would actually probably start a civil war in California, which would be okay. Especially if, at that point, then you just put bounties and let Americans, Well, why do we still even have Second Amendment restrictions anyway? What's up with that? I thought Tulsa Boomer was supposed to be the pro-2A guy. Yeah, turns out he was full of shit on that too. Like just about everything else that he's been full of shit on. If you did it in just California and Texas alone, just those two states, it would cripple the United States. It would cripple the United States, particularly in Texas, because I want to say something like probably 50% of all CDL or guys driving CDL trucks, whether they have CDLs or not, that includes your straight trucks, buses, etc., all of it. Okay, local, regional. If you did that, you'd lose probably about 50% of those drivers, which means that freight rates would probably go 5x or more. I mean, freight rates would go absolutely nuts. And you'd have companies and shippers, you'd have brokers freaking out trying to find, they'd be looking for people, not just like me, but, and by the way, there are lots of guys like me. I'm not exclusive on this, okay? There are lots of guys out there that have got 10, 20 years of experience, easy, safe driving experience, that the companies, what they did was they blew those guys off because they're too expensive. They abused them. It's how you get this situation in the first place. Everybody wonders, how did this all happen? Why is there a driver shortage? There has never been a driver shortage. Between 30 and 60 mega carriers and other really terrible shitbag companies out there abused and destroyed their driver pool. That's what happened. They did this. They did this to themselves. And all those guys said, dude, I'm not going to drive for you anymore. And they said, oh, well, there's a driver shortage. No, there was no driver shortage. There never was. It's that you abused your people. Now nobody will work for you any longer. You're supposed to go out of business. That's what's supposed to happen. Instead, it gets turned into, Tulsa Boomer, bail us out. And Tulsa Boomer is only too quick to oblige because he doesn't know shit about shit. He doesn't. Boomer, it's in the name, dude. Most of them don't know fuck all about anything going on in the real world anymore and stuff. They're too far fucking detached, and especially when you get billionaire boomers. They're too far fucking detached from reality. Motherfuckers don't know what's going on with anything anymore, especially when they get to that point. Remember, mass psychosis starts at the top. It doesn't start at the bottom. It starts at the top. It starts with the richest people who become delusional and start thinking of themselves of fucking gods. That's where his name, Tulsa Boomer, comes from. Some demigod bullshit artist. A con man. So, yeah, I mean, at any point they could undo all this. The question is, will they do it? Will they risk their precious GDP? Because GDP will get cut a lot, and you'll start seeing rates come up, and wages will start coming up. Domestic wages, will start coming up for Americans. And then that means Americans start paying things off, Americans start paying off debt, and Americans start, owning houses and owning property and shit. And, yeah, bankers don't like that. They don't want you owning things. That's what this comes down to.